Bien, seguimos acá en New Horizons Live y esta tarde tenemos la dicha de tener con nosotros a un escritor muy reconocido en todo el mundo, originario de Estados Unidos, que está acá de visita en República Dominicana para promover una iniciativa de creación de liderazgo, algo que, bueno, nosotros, tanto en New Horizons como en mi persona, toda la vida hemos entendido que es algo de lo que se adolece mucho en República Dominicana y que necesariamente es fundamental si pretendemos transformar y lograr nuevos estadios de desarrollo en nuestro país. John Maxwell is here with us today. This interview is going to be totally in English, so there's no quarrels. I just basically gave the introduction in English. John, you told me that this is not your first time visiting the Dominican Republic, that you've been here several times. Is that correct?
That's correct. I've been here probably at least 7 or 8 times, and just 3 times with our organization that's doing transformation in the country. But I've come to the Dominican Republic to speak before. I've come to the Dominican Republic to have vacation. This is a little piece of paradise right here. So I've always enjoyed my time here.
So, 30 years writing books on leadership, correct?
Correct.
And now you've refocused or restructured I guess your efforts and into basically saying, okay, I need to do something else. I need to do something bigger, something different. What is the iLeadership or I Do initiative?
Well, in leadership, I've written a lot of books on it, and I'm still writing. But I've felt in the last few years that something that's missing is good leadership values curriculum in schools for students. And so a few years ago, we said, let's see if we can not write some material that students can read that would help them to embrace good values and also have a passion to influence and lead their peers. And so this has been the most exciting project I've ever really endeavored. I'm known for writing books, but writing the ILead curriculum, which is now in many, many schools, millions of students have it in the classroom alongside of maybe math or language, whatever, has been very rewarding because the response that we're receiving from the students is very positive. For example, in Guatemala, we are helping train with values hundreds and hundreds of thousands of students. And the Secretary of Education of Guatemala came to me recently and said within 3 weeks of the students around small groups, round tables, studying and learning and talking about good values, we can see a difference in their attitude. And so we're just receiving such positive response that we're very passionate about not only books we write, but the ILead curriculum, which is a 3-year curriculum. First year is I choose good values. We want to help students know it's a choice. And then the second part is all about action. I do these values. And the third is I now begin to lead others and influence others to do the same values.
It certainly is something that would, I guess, used as a tool within the classroom setting could probably transform their lives, because most of the time students find it difficult to find usefulness in what they're studying. You know, right. It's always like, why am I studying this? Correct. Am I going to ever use this in my life? Obviously, if you have a good structure of your values and your core interests and priorities, you're going to find usefulness in that. That is.
But you're so right, and what makes this also an added benefit is that the students lead these values tables, not the teacher. So I mean, the teacher, of course, is in the classroom, but in their little sections, a student will take one value and facilitate it with the other peers in that table, and then the next week another student will take the next value. So one of the things we really love about the benefit of this is having students lead it. It allows them to practice leadership. And people ask me all the time, well, how do you develop leaders? Well, you develop leaders by letting them practice leadership. And so at a very young age, students are taking the responsibility of facilitating for a week a values table. And it just gives them a chance to interact with the kids, but to kind of lead them and practice their leadership. So we think it's not only a good values exercise, we think for students it's a great leadership exercise also.
When in your book, Developing the Leader Within You, you say that when the leader lacks confidence, the followers lack commitment.
Correct.
Now, could we translate from this quote that the lack in confidence most people show today in today's governments is a result of the lack of leadership of their particular rulers?
No doubt. No doubt. I'm when I look at leaders today, and honestly, I'm speaking now worldwide. I have a little bit of leadership sadness because I feel that, especially during difficult times, in the last couple of years, have been difficult times worldwide, and I think that's the time for the leader to shine and to step forth and to lift the people and give hope and be an example. And I felt that too many times that really hasn't happened. And one of our missions and passions is to help even adult leaders, in government, business, it doesn't matter, education, really begin to have a core value on the inside that allows them during difficult times and begin to really make a change and help people in the lives of others. And I think that's really key. And I think it's been missing, but I think it's been missing because so many times leaders do not have core values themselves, and when a crisis comes, it's too late to discover your values. It's too late to say, okay, now what's important to me? You either have it and are able to lead with confidence in it, or else you pretty much kind of go the follower's route and really don't allow your people to have the leadership that they deserve.
Does the political system allow valueless individuals to become actual rulers?
Yes. Sadly, yes, I think that, let me just speak for the United States. In my country, there are many leaders who really lack good values. And the core of that, I'm so glad you're asking that question, because the core of good values begins with valuing people. And this is the miss. If as a leader I don't value others, then all those good values will never work in my life. It's the fact that I value you that I want to then come and bring a contribution and be an asset in your life. So it really begins with valuing people. And if I don't value you as a leader, then I begin to manipulate you. And if I begin to manipulate you, what am I doing? Now I'm taking advantage of you. Because what leaders do is leaders see more than others see, and they see before others see. That's what sets a leader apart. They see a bigger picture, but they not only see a bigger picture, they see it quicker. So now that puts me at a tremendous advantage. If I see the picture bigger, and if I see it quicker than everybody else, this is what I call the leadership advantage. So the question is, when I have that advantage,
What do I use it for?
that's exactly right. You're hitting the target completely. Am I using it to benefit the people, which means I'm providing good leadership, or sadly, in so many cases, am I using it to benefit myself, which is always bad leadership. So that's why values are so important in a leader's life. In fact, in my teachings, what I'm known for worldwide is my statement, everything rises and falls on leadership, which is very true. But when leadership rises, or when it's positive for the people, it's because of two things. One, good leadership skills. I mean, in other words, you have to know how to lead. And secondly, good values. And one can't substitute for the other. If I have good leadership skills, but I don't value people and I have poor values, I'll still take advantage of the people. If I have really good values but I don't have leadership skills, I could be a wonderful friend, but I'm not going to be able to take you where you need to go. So both of them are very essential. And that's why we're so excited about being here in the Dominican Republic. We're so excited about ILead in the schools because we just believe that's going to give an opportunity for students to start off at an early age to begin to be in a leadership culture that will really serve themselves, their families, their country very well in the long run.
Let me just speak about one other of your books. In your 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth,
Yes.
you say that small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time.
That's right.
Now, should we not first add value to these disciplines because it seems many individuals, and especially for us dealing with children and young adults, spend too much time consistently wasting their time around social media and other useless activities. And how do we teach people to create a proper structure of values for these habits?
Great question. I'm really glad you pulled that comment out. You've done your homework, that's for sure. So let me talk about that for a moment, because what we have discovered is this, that when a person, let's talk about a student, when a student has good values inside themselves, they have self-worth, and they listen well, and they have good values. What we've discovered is that when you have good values on the inside, you need less validation from the outside, because
Right.
you're already strong in your core. I honestly, if I have good self-worth, I really don't need you to tell me that I'm a wonderful person. I've already got that figured out. So I don't need that value. But let's say I have no values on the inside and I lack self-worth. Then I'm looking for other people to give me what I don't have within myself. And one of the things we've discovered in countries as we've been doing transformation is when people really learn good values, it gives them a voice that they have not previously had. And when they learn and live these good values, they become more valuable. They become more valuable to themselves. They become more valuable to their classmates, to their family. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when students, adults, begin to internalize and have great value. Here's what I know. When we think of crisis, it's not difficult to make decisions if you know what your values are. But if you don't know what your values are, you're going to fade and fold, and you're never going to be solid. That's for sure.
I guess we have a very vivid example of a person facing a crisis with no values and a leadership role, like what happened in the United States recently. And it's dramatic, the consequences of such an event. Finally, from one of your other books, your latest books, Developing the Leaders Around You, you say that unless you want to carry the whole load yourself, you need to be developing leaders.
Correct.
Now, do we need a fixed set of goals and objectives in order to develop effective leaders? How does an effort like the one you are currently carrying help communities, towns, and ultimately countries develop its people?
Well, developing leaders is, I think, the highest priority of a leader. Now, most leaders really don't develop other leaders.
Right.
Most leaders just foster followers. They want followers. So they're not really into developing leaders, because when you develop leaders, it's very difficult. It takes a long time. It's not easy to lead leaders because they have a mind of their own.
You create competition.
That's exactly right. So if you have a scarcity mindset, if you're insecure, you'll never develop other leaders. But the only way you can multiply is by developing leaders. If you want to add people, bring followers. But if you want to multiply, you have to have leaders. And so when we're here, like in the Dominican Republic, it's very essential for us to have what we call a leadership team. And we have a great team. We have people who live in this country, who love this country, who take these values, and they're kind of like our boots on the ground. But it's essential for a lot of people to be able to carry this load. I've often said a big dream and a bad team is a nightmare. And how many times I've seen people say, if I just have a dream, I can achieve it. I say, no, really you need a team. It's kind of like in my book, The Laws of Teamwork, I talk about the law of Mount Everest. As the challenge escalates, the need for teamwork elevates. I mean, if you're going to climb Mount Everest, you go get people. You got to go get some good people. You got to get mountain climbers. Why? Because it's a big challenge. So anytime a person is faced with something big, the only way they're going to ever achieve it is to have good people around them and developing those leaders. And I suppose at 75, my greatest joy today, I've been very privileged. I've accomplished quite a bit. But my greatest joy is not what I've accomplished as far as writing books, etc., speaking around the world. It's my team. It's my team. Because they today make me much better than I am. And they amplify my influence and the things and my principles and the values I have. So, I think your greatest joy in the long run is the leaders that you would develop. and watching them carry the load, and not only do that, but even surpass me. They're doing better than what I did, and that makes me very proud.
As individuals or as an institution?
Both, both. I think I have some people that will do much better than me as individuals. Without any question, the entire organization greatly benefits, and you never know how good of a leader you are until you leave something. Because then the people that you have trained and developed and have leadership positions, do they carry it on and make it even better? Or do they have to come back and say, oh, we need to bring you back in? So I think the highest compliment is other people doing your values and your vision and your mission beyond anything that you did yourself. I think that's what good leadership is.
Stephen Jobs versus, him as a leader. When he left, the company practically collapsed, and he brought him back.
Yes, totally.
So he was basically a very ingenious individual, but not necessarily a very good leader.
Which is very possible. Very ingenious people that are great entrepreneurs, many of them have the ability to really build something, but it really only has sustainability
as long as they're there. Right.
In other words, if you have to touch it all the time, you haven't built it right. And so I think great leaders understand that the only way that you can sustain your mission, your vision, we call it having legs to your legacy, is to just develop other leaders.
I call it making other parts move without you having to move.
I love it. Hey, that'll be in a book.
All right.
I'll quote you.
I'm sure. Señores, thank you very much, John, for your time and for being with us here at the New Horizons community. And I hope you enjoy your time here in Dominican Republic. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be your last round, hopefully around here. Para todos los que han estado con nosotros acá en New Horizons, yo creo que ha sido un grato placer poder haberle llevado esta entrevista con John Maxwell, una persona que ha dedicado mucho tiempo al desarrollo del liderazgo y a señalar aquellas cosas que debemos de hacer para convertirnos en líderes que transformemos el entorno nuestro. Y espero que todo lo que se ha discutido aquí en el día de hoy, que trataremos de ponerlo en texto y traducirlo para nuestras redes, para todos aquellos que lo quieran tener en castellano, pues que les sirva de mucho. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you, John, for your time, and seguimos luego de la pausa.
Thank you very much.